Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into the story of a really incredible military unit, a battalion whose entire identity was basically forged in the heat of conflict, defined by this intense discipline and then celebrated all over the world. This is the story of the 16th Battalion, better known as the Majestic Tigers.
Everything about them really starts with this one powerful motto, Rakte Amar Shadinota, which translates to, independence is in my blood. Now that's not just some catchy slogan, right? It's the absolute soul of their identity. So you gotta ask, how does a unit end up with a creed that personal, that defiant? Well, let's get into it.
So officially, they're the 16th Battalion of the East Bengal Regiment, which is a huge cornerstone of the Bangladesh Army. But almost nobody calls them that. They're famously known by their nickname, the Majestic Tigers. And as you're about to see, that name was picked for a very, very specific reason.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. How this unique battalion even came to be. This timeline really puts their origin into perspective. I mean, sure, their parent regiment goes all the way back to 1948, but the real catalyst, the Big Bang moment, was the 1971 Liberation War. The 16th Battalion was literally born out of that struggle, raised on June 1st, 1976, as part of a brand new independent nation's army. So you see, they weren't just another unit. They were a symbol of a whole new beginning. And about that nickname, yeah, it was no accident. The name Majestic Tiger was specifically chosen to represent this duality. On one hand, you have the raw, untamed ferocity of the Bengal tiger, the symbol of their regiment. But on the other hand, you have this disciplined, controlled, almost regal way of carrying themselves. This perfect balance between being a warrior and a professional. That's the absolute key to understanding who they are.
But, it's one thing to have a carefully crafted identity, and it's another thing to have it tested. And for these guys, that test came in the form of fire and conflict, specifically in a place called the Chittagong Hill Tracts. So through the 80s and 90s, the battalion was thrown into one of the most difficult environments you can imagine for a soldier: deep, dense jungle. Their mission was counter-insurgency in the rugged Chittagong Hill Tracts, and let me tell you, it was a brutal, grinding conflict that would truly shape their character forever.
And this slide, this really shows you how smart their approach was. It wasn't just about brute force. They perfectly balanced that military pressure through tough jungle patrols with this crucial hearts and minds strategy. They were actively out there, working to support the local indigenous communities. Think about that. It requires both incredible strength and an incredible amount of sensitivity.
And this is where their motto took on its real weight. The unit took casualties during these operations. Independence is in my blood was no longer just a phrase. It became a living tribute to the very real sacrifices made to protect the nation's sovereignty, paid for, literally, by the soldiers themselves. But the story doesn't stop in the jungles of Bangladesh. Oh no! The next chapter saw the Majestic Tigers completely transform into a global force. This comparison really says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures their amazing versatility. You have the exact same soldiers, hardened by years of jungle warfare at home, who could then put on a UN blue helmet and become these incredibly disciplined peacekeepers abroad. It proved they could be both fierce warriors and respected diplomats on the world stage. And man, their impact has been felt all over the world. They played a massive role disarming rebel forces in Sierra Leone, they were on the ground protecting civilians in the Congo, and they secured vital humanitarian aid in South Sudan. They didn't just show up, they earned official commendations from UN force commanders for their top-tier professionalism and tactical skill. And it's worth just pausing on this scale here. A battalion is roughly 850 soldiers. Every single one of those individuals plays a part in building and protecting this elite international reputation. That kind of excellence, it can only happen when everyone is pulling in the same direction. It's a total collective achievement. So, what does all this history, all this sacrifice, mean for them today? Let's take a look at the legacy of the modern Majestic Tiger. This little fact file here basically sums it all up. You've got the Majestic Tiger nickname, that powerful motto earned in blood, the dual specialization in both counterinsurgency and peacekeeping, and that awesome symbol of the tiger over crossed swords. Every single element on this chart is a chapter in their incredible story. And you better believe they aren't just resting on their past achievements. The modern battalion is constantly evolving, always focused on the next challenge.
things like urban warfare training and integrating digital tech. And on top of that, they're still a critical asset back home, often called on for national aid during emergencies. Which, brings us to a final thought here. The story of the 16th Battalion, born from a war of independence, tested by brutal internal conflict, and then rising to become this respected force for good on the world stage, it almost acts as a mirror, and it leaves us with this one big question. How does the journey of this one battalion, in so many ways, reflect the journey of an entire nation?